In this video, I will show you how to add additional hair to make a wig thicker. I'm Kendra, and I'm the author of the book, 18th Century Hair and Wig Styling, History and Step-by-Step Techniques, which you can purchase at 18thcenturyhair.com. This step is useful for any wig styling, but it's also one step in a full tutorial that I have posted on Patreon at 18th Century Wig that will show you how to make the style that I am wearing here. Appropriate to the 1780s and first half of the 1790s, it features soft romantic curls, hanging structured rolls, and a catigan knot in back. If you'd like to check out the full tutorial, as well as future tutorials, please see my Patreon at 18th Century Wig. And if you'd like to know more about the history of 18th century hair and wig styling, including which styles were worn when, as well as techniques and tutorials for making your own, check out my book at 18thcenturyhair.com. Modern commercial wigs are designed to look quote-unquote natural, usually when worn loose and down. Because in 18th century hairstyles, we need to pull the hair up in certain cases and create bigger shapes, we need more hair in the wig than will automatically come with. This is another technique I have developed since writing the 18th century hair and wig book, and I have found particularly on 1780s and bushy, frizzy, full styles that I really like having extra hair, about twice as much, in the top half of the wig. Thus, for this tutorial, that's the area I'm going to show you how to fill out with extra hair. You could use this same technique on the bottom half of the wig if you wanted more hair in that section as well. It may be hard to tell the difference unless you've styled a commercial wig into one of these styles before with the regular amount of hair that comes on the wig versus adding hair to the wig, but I've really found that it makes a nice difference. So I highly recommend this step. To start, part the hair wherever the individually knotted hairs along the hairline end. On a lace front wig, that will be hair knotted to the lace in front. On a non-lace front wig, you will still find that kind of section of individually tied and knotted hairs along the hairline. Find where that section ends, and you're going to start seeing the rows of weaving hair, also called wefts. As you work, you'll want to clip sections of hair out of your way. I like to use those little jaw clips, but you can use whatever kinds of clips work for you. Take one of the strands of weaving hair that you've either purchased separately or using the video on how to seam rip a wig for extra hair you've removed from another wig. Take one row of that hair and pin it on top of that first row of hair weft that's already sewn to the wig. I like to use large ball pins for this. You'll notice at the top of the weft, there will be a short row of hairs and a longer row. That's just how the hair is woven. It's bent over itself. If you can, put that short row of hair down towards the rest of the wig. It's not a crisis if you accidentally flip it. It's just less likely to show if the short ends are on the underside. Don't stress if your length of weaving hair isn't long enough to cover the entire row. You can use multiple sections of weaving hair to do this. Now, take a curved needle, which is very important because we don't want to actually sew anything to the canvas wig block. Curved needles are very helpful when working with wigs. Take your curved needle, cut a length of thread in a color that is relatively close to the hair color of your wig. I recommend waxing the thread because it has the chance to tangle not just on itself, but also on the wig's hair. And you'll be much happier if you've waxed your thread. It will be much easier to unknot and untangle when needed. Thread the needle so that you have a long tail and a short tail. And starting at one end of the weaving hair, take a whip stitch, which is just simply a looped stitch, making sure you catch the new row of weaving hair as well as the row underneath. Leave a tail of about 2 or 3 inches. If you like to knot your thread, you can knot it here. I don't bother. But either way, take about 3 stitches on top of themselves. So 3 stitches right at the same point, which will really help to secure the stitches to the wig. Then, using your curved needle, continue to whip stitch this new row of loose weaving hair to the row underneath, catching that 2 to 3 inch tail inside the stitches. Again, make sure that you are catching both the new row of weaving hair as well as the row underneath. If you have had to use separate sections of weaving hair, you don't really need to do anything special at the ends. You could take an extra stitch there if you want to. I often don't bother. If you ever have a row of weaving hair that is too long for the section, you can just trim it with your scissors. There's no need to finish the edge with fray check or thread or anything like that. I've never had that row of weaving hair fray or separate on me. The goal, continue stitching, pulling out the pins as you go until you get to the end, and once again take 3 stitches. Usually I have leftover thread at this point, so I stick the curved needle into the wig head in the face area and hope that I don't have to rethread my needle. Now, part the wig head again, pulling up the row of weaving hair you've just added as well as the row that you sewed it to, and find the next row. And we're going to keep doing exactly the same thing, sewing on this next row of hair. If I've still had thread left over from the last row of stitches, I just pull the thread through the wig hair at the base until I get to the new starting spot, although often I have to rethread the needle because the thread's pulled out. When you do come to the end of the thread, once again, take 3 stitches in the same place. If you like to knot, you can go ahead and tie a knot there. And then pull the tail of the thread through either the stitches that you've made or weave it in and out of that wefted end of the hair. Once again, that's going to create a really strong and firm stitch ending. You can snip the thread if there's any extra. As you go, you will inevitably catch hairs that you didn't mean to catch. It's pretty easy to pull these back out with your needle, but it's also not a crisis if there's a few hairs caught in your stitches. As I continue working through the wig, you will find those short ends of the hair will pop up and get in your way of your stitches. So I use bobby pins, often a lot of them, to keep that hair out of my way with some inevitable working around. As you work your way down the wig, you will start to find sections where there are bigger gaps in between the rows of weaving hair sewn to the wig. In this case, I like to sew the new row of weaving hair in between the existing rows of wig hair. You'll see there are these sections where there are only ribbon tapes connecting the rows of wig hair. And what I like to do with these is I take an extra stitch at the beginning and end of that little elastic tape. And then I just keep stitching using a whip stitch through that row of weaving hair, even though I'm not connecting it to anything, because I don't want a long stretch of thread that could get caught on something and pull or break. And I also don't want to tie off and knot and have to restart at each row. So once again, just keep going till you've stitched all the way through. If you notice a section where the wig seems to be a little bit loose on the head, you can either re-pull the wig, re-stretch the wig to really fill that out, or try to mimic the amount of fullness that you're getting by loosening the weft as you go. Because the last thing we ever want to do is shrink the wig. So it's really important to maintain that same level of fullness. Continue doing this all the way till we get to the crown of the head, which is the sort of top back of your head. Keep doing every other row of wig hair, add a row of weaving hair until you get to the point shown here. Once you're done adding hair, unclip the hair and comb it out. It will be tangled, but not too bad. And you'll want to work through it in sections just to make sure that you don't have any hidden tangles. And once you're done, you will have a wig that is much fuller on top than it used to be, which is going to be very handy for the style of wig we're doing in this tutorial.